Hello and welcome back to Regiments. In the last episode we held against the rebel counterattack on Lauterbach and we are now moving forward towards the Vogtei chemical plant. But before we do that, we quickly have to take a look at our forces. We only have 82 points of operational authority, and I think it would be wise to invest 50 of those points into engineering. And the remaining points are going to be reinvested into our force to make sure that we can replenish our losses. This way we should hopefully be able to hold off against the enemy most effectively. And we also have some further intel. We have a report from the 7th Panzer Division headquarters, and it says that with the forward elements of the so-called Freie Republik Deutschland taken out, we are free to proceed to the central rallying point. Recon elements report the rebels have entrenched in the industrial cluster ahead, and we are tasked to clear it out. And we have some further information from James Goodman from the CIA on Poland. Solidarność demonstrations and general riots were breaking out all across Poland. As one Soviet colonel put it, we expected the main supply routes through Poland would be cut by NATO deep strikes, not by worker strikes. Whoever was holding the reins of real power in Moscow that month, was it Yazov, decided that martial law won't cut it in the situation as critical as that. North's group of forces was reinforced with whatever elements Belarusian military district managed to mobilize. The lack of anti-riot training had to be compensated with overwhelming firepower. Well, that does not sound too good. And before we proceed, we also need to pick an event. We only have 2 points to choose from, and I'm going to choose divisional artillery. This way we get some extra barrages as tactical aids. And next time we need to get our supplies disrupted, meaning that we are not allowed to call in further supplies. So before this phase ends, we need to make sure that fresh supplies make it onto the battlefield. The battle can begin within a minute, and I quickly want to show you my strategy. Over here I want to advance with some tanks and some infanterists to get forward on Kammerforst. From there we would have to send our units on to Angara, and maybe if we are extremely lucky, we are even able to take out this exit point. On this location we have amassed 2 units of tanks, 1 unit of scouts, as well as our mortars and an command unit. With that I want to further reinforce the chemical plants south and east so that we can take out this location. And afterwards we would have to fight our way all the way through here so that we could exit this point. Once we have taken this rally point, we can move forward to the next stage. We only have 3 phases for this battle, meaning that we only have an hour in real time. So we need to make the most of it. Our units are moving forward, and over here I want to use our tanks and our infantry to outflank the enemy over here. Over here we are moving forward into this forest because I don't expect the enemy to immediately send forces over, or well, to have forces over here. And we can see that some allied units are also moving forward. They're hopefully going to bind the enemy, allowing us a quick advance. Our scouts so far were not able to find anyone. Let's send our tanks forward. These tanks over here are going to be a bit of a rear guard, and our mortars are also going to move up. And as soon as we have enough points, we are going to call in reinforcements. And these infantries can move forward. Hopefully we can get Kammerforst without many hits. Let's make sure we are getting prepared. We have enemies over here. Let's get these infantry dismounted. It looks like we have some dug-in tanks over on this situation. And these tanks already took a hit. I did not order them to move in the best way. Let's order them to move as fast as possible to get them out of this dangerous situation. We can see that luckily these tanks have been almost defeated. Let's hope these boys can hold out. but I want them to move into reserve mode, so that they are hopefully a bit outside of the enemy firing range. These tanks need to move up on the enemy flank. And over here the situation seems to be under control. We have Chemical Werk South more or less secured. I want these tanks to hang back for the moment until we figure out what's actually going on. And I want these infantry to move up on those tanks again. Hopefully these tanks are able to hold out. These soldiers are getting panicked. We can see that the enemy has anti-aircraft over there. And we are now getting attacked over here. Let's get these boys out. What can we send in? Let's get these tanks forward. Our own mortars need to get on those infantry. And I want some heavy artillery also on these sections. These tanks, unfortunately, need to withdraw. They have taken severe casualties, but we were able to drive away those tanks, meaning that our infantry should be able to move up. I would also like to call in an artillery barrage, but maybe we should... My apologies. Wait a little bit until we call that in. Our tanks are moving forward. We can see enemy artillery is over there. Let's send these tanks forward and let's send our scouts in. And these tanks also need to move. There is more Dukin infantry in this direction. Let's get our soldiers to retreat. I'm going to call in smoke. We would have to outflank them further, but I don't think these guys are cut out for that anymore. We can send in supplies. And these scouts need to get out of there in reverse mode. Artillery can be called in on these guys. Unfortunately, there is anti-air emplacements in that area. Can our tanks move forward on those mortars? These tanks need to withdraw. They're too badly damaged. These mortars can deal with those guys. And our scouts, unfortunately, need to stick... Nope, they can't really stick around. They are way too damaged. Let's get them out as well. We have unfortunately lost a lot of our operational possibilities. Let's let these guys set up. And I want to sneak up on the rear of those entrenched infantry, quickly overrun them, and then these guys can also withdraw. Over here, more infantry is going to move up, and we are incepting news of an enemy counterattack. Luckily, it seems like we were able to hit some of their people, but we need to get our tanks to move. More enemies are down there. We can't really do much there yet. I am going to call in some artillery though. And we have to be very, very thankful for the allied units that are approaching with us. Let's get these tanks out. Or better, let's get them to retreat. These boys can begin to set up. And we can move forward. What can we do to help down there? We have tanks coming in. We have our supplies that have set up. We only have 70 points of operational authority at the moment. We could call in new scouts, but I think it would be better to wait until we can call in some tanks. So far, we have not figured out where the enemy entrenched infantry is. Let's hope we can get them before we lose that unit. It is a massive gamble, because our allied units over there do not seem really willing to move. I want these guys to move forward. Maybe we can get the chemical plant west or move into Angara and maybe put the enemy into a situation. More tanks are moving forward. And I would be sure that we would have found the rear of those infantries already, or have they withdrawn? Let's send our boys forward. Let's hope we can do something. And these tanks need to move up over here. We only have 12 minutes remaining. And it appears like if we move our tanks forward just a little bit, we should be able to hit those units into the rear. Yes, they are entrenched and they face in the direction that we are approaching from. We are taking out Kammerforst and we are now informed of another counterattack. Enemy forces are moving up. We need to get our tanks forward. I want these tanks to move forward over here. Can we get them over here to our supplies? There they should be able to get repaired. And I can't remember where those shots were coming from. Somewhere over there they came in from.
Zone captured.
Kammerforst has been captured. I am going to call out these boys so that they can replenish. And now we're going to push into Angara itself. We have found enemy units. Let's quickly call in artillery on them. And now soon we should be able to move forward. Yes, we can see that our tanks are getting repaired somewhat by these forces. Once Angara is taken, we are going to move forward over here. And our tanks should also be able to engage the enemy from this location. But we have to be careful, there is more stuff coming in from over there. I hope this has been the last of those units. Let's rotate our tanks over. And let's also get our tanks up. We still have some supplies. And we now have the option to call more stuff in. I'm going to send in some more infantry.
Zone captured.
And we can move up over here. Let's hope our allied units are going to make sure this zone is not going to become a massive problem. We have found enemy anti-aircraft. Let's engage with our tanks. Enemy artillery is still over there. And more enemy forces are over there. Let's get our tanks forward and into the, well, uncertain cover of those buildings. These infantry are setting up. I want to approach the chemical plant west. And we have figured out that the enemy has a scout unit over there. Our infantry has arrived. Let's get those units forward as well. And maybe we are able to destroy those guys with a good timed artillery barrage. I want our tanks to move up over here. These boys are getting hit. Let's put them into reserve, into reverse mode and move out before they get completely destroyed. We have lost one of our vehicles. The durability is extremely low. I was once again not prepared for the strength of the enemy counterattack. These infantrymen need to move forward. And ideally, these soldiers are going to move back towards our supplies, where they at least could get repaired somewhat. We have heavy artillery that I'm going to call in over there on the enemy tanks. We should be more than capable to destroy those approaching units. We can't see them anymore. Let's call in our scouts. Let's get these infantry set up. Let's also call these tanks down. The enemy is going to send in more units to counterattack. These tanks, I want them to get into reserve mode. And luckily we are getting support. Yes, aircraft is coming on with cluster ammunition, doing a good amount of damage. Let's make sure our mortars are getting focused. Enemy artillery has found us though. What do we still have on the battlefield? We have enemy units over there and down here. Let's focus our attention. Can our tanks please take out those guys? And we currently, unfortunately, do not have the option to call anything in. Let's get these supplies over here. And we've destroyed enemy scouts over here. What can we do to help? The enemy is hitting us with everything they have. I am going to call in smoke to make sure the enemy cannot easily engage us over on this section. I am going to move these tanks forward. Also, our mortars can basically stay where they are. The enemy is going to move in and then they are going to be hit. Okay, our units are now getting rearmed significantly faster. We only have 6 more minutes remaining, so let's hope I remember to send out our supplies to call fresh ones in. Enemy tanks are moving in, we have infantry outflanking us. Let's pull back with our own soldiers to keep them out of the danger zone. And I'm now going to send back our supplies so that we can send in fresh supplies before this phase ends. These tanks are hopefully able to hit the enemy tanks from there. Wonderful, these tanks are withdrawn. We have infantry in those woods. And we have a massive cluster of forces over there. I'm going to call in a strike of heavy artillery. And the enemy is going to send in aircraft with cluster ammunition. Let's hope they are not going to annihilate our own forces. Well, it looks like they were not able to drop their payload. Tanks move forward. Infantry is hopefully engaging. These tanks need to focus their attention over there. And I'm also going to order an artillery barrage. Supplies, fresh supplies are getting called in. Let's hope we also get the option to really let's get these boys out of the immediate danger zone. Okay, enemy forces have been defeated on this section. Can we get our own tanks forward so that we can hopefully outflank the enemy? Or at least disperse our forces. These tanks are almost out of ammunition. Their durability is also not the best. They are getting suppressed. I want to call them back. And these tanks are out of ammunition. I would like to get them out, but we don't really have the option to do so. Can we get our supplies forward, because we can't really give up this position? And luckily our own mortars are able to hit the enemy. I want to focus on the infantry. They should hopefully also deal with the lightly armored Shilka. And there's absolutely nothing these tanks can do. They are completely out of ammunition. Let's get them out of the danger zone and retreat them. Our supplies need to set up so that we can get our tanks kitted out with a little bit more juice. These infantries, can they withdraw slightly? And these mortars are of course now also out of ammunition. We do not really have a lot to work with left. Some artillery over here is hopefully going to destroy the remaining tanks. And I'm going to send down our BTRs to hopefully get fitted out again. Ammunition on those tanks is up, supply is going down, but I hope we have enough left. Let's also call out our mortars. They are out of ammunition. Well, these scouts and these HQ units unfortunately need to stay, and we have enough points to call in some fresh tank reserves. But otherwise, many of our units are basically
Zone
beaten.
captured.
These units are pulling back. So let's hope we can send our tanks forward. Chemical plant east has been taken out. Chemical plant west has been taken out. Next time we basically need to focus on the defense of Angara, because there's an entry point. And we have to move forward towards these locations. More infantry is over there. But it looks like we could get into the chemical plant north without much resistance. I'm also going to call back these infanterists. There is not really a point keeping them around. We can call in fresh ones. But it also looks like these are the last remaining pieces we can call in. We can also call in fresh mortars. And let's do that. I think whatever we can get in now is going to help us in the future. They would have to move out too fast. Let's make sure we take out the chemical plant first before we move in to engage. 1 minute remaining, and unless the enemy can send in a massive counterattack, we should be able to hold out.
1 minute remaining.
These soldiers are withdrawing.
Zone captured.
And we are moving up. I would like to set up our mortars over here. I'm also going to send our supplies forward into this vague cover. Scouts move forward. HQ movement is also going to move forward. These BTRs can already move up towards Angara. I do not know if they're going to make it, but at least they can try. And if our tanks move forward just a little bit more, we should be also able to hit those entrenched infanteries. They have more stuff over there. Hopefully some heavy artillery is going to take them out. And pretty much all we can do now is prepare for the next phase. I doubt we can inflict enough casualties to really do much. We only have 7 seconds remaining. But at least we can see some fireworks. And now this phase is over. Luckily we have allied units, otherwise this fight would have been almost impossible for me to win. During the fight, we suffered 28 dead, 92 men wounded, and 3 men missing, in total 123 casualties. We have also lost 13 vehicles. On the enemy side, they have over 158 killed, 508 wounded, 25 missing, meaning they've lost in total 69 troops, and they have lost 82 vehicles. In the next episode, we are going to push forward and hopefully drive away the enemy completely, but this has to be it for now. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I thank you all for watching. And until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.